Hi guys, Dopey Alex here. Welcome to my new series called Game Caps. Today, I will be showing you a stealth, adventure PS2 game titled Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonis. The game begins with Sly Cooper on a rooftop in Paris talking to Bentley on his binocularcom. Sly has to steal a police file from Inspector Carmelita Montoya Fox's Interpol office. Once Sly steals the file, he is caught, and we are introduced to the lovely and sexy Carmelita. You come to learn that they have been at this cat and mouse game for quite a while, with Sly always giving her the slip. After a quick escape, we see Sly's backstory and learn that Sly comes from a long line of master thieves who kept all their secrets of stealing and sneaking in a book called the Thievius Raccoonis. When Sly was young, and it was his turn to inherit the book, a group called the Fiendish Five came unannounced and murdered Sly's parents, and took the Thievius Raccoonis. The Fiendish Five then tore the pages from the Thievius Raccoonis into five, and spread to different parts of the world. Sly, being broke and alone, ended up in the Happy Camper orphanage, where he met his best friends Bentley the Brains and Murray the getaway driver. Together they formed the Cooper Gang, along with pledging to track down the Fiendish Five, avenging Sly's parents, and to steal back the Thievius Raccoonis. First up is Raleigh. Raleigh was born into a life of nobility and privilege, but eventually grew bored with it. On a whim, he tried his hand at piracy and found it to his liking. As he became addicted to crime, he was eventually recruited by the Fiendish Five as their chief engineer because of his fondness to make monster machines. Years later, after the attack on the Cooper home, Raleigh had established himself near the Isle of Wrath, situated in the center of his artificially created Welsh Triangle. He used his storm machine to control the local weather conditions and wreck a large number of ships. That way he could plunder them for loot. Once all the missions were complete, Sly faces Raleigh, where they have a little chat that leads to Raleigh eating a bug and turning twice his normal size. After beating Raleigh, he then, like a dumb villain that he is, proceeds to give the exact location to his cohort mugshot. Like, come on, WTF, I know it's to keep the story going and this is a kid's game, but bro really snitched on his homie like that, shaking my head. After spilling the tea, he then passes out and Sly gets the papers that had Ryoichi Cooper, who created the ninja spire jump while sneaking into the thickly fortified castles of feudal Japan. Sly then had to sneak away because the lovely Carmelita Fox was hot on his tail. But when he couldn't find Sly, she then went on in arresting Raleigh and his crew. After leaving Sir Raleigh's ship, the gang moves on to Mugshot's turf in Mesa City. When he was young, he was the runt of the litter and was frequently bullied by larger dogs. He found solace only in mobster movies and came to admire the tough, brutal criminals and how they took no guff from anyone. Inspired, he strove to be like them. Therefore he started to lift weights, being fueled by his dreams of great power and respect. Growing to massive size, especially in the arms, he eventually took revenge on his former tormentors and became a well-known enforcer and gunman, eventually being recruited by the Fiendish Five and taking part in the raid on the Cooper household. After the Fiendish Five parted ways, he later took over Mesa City in Utah, where he set up a massive casino and drove off the vast majority of the residents. After completing the missions, Sly goes on to fight Mugshot, where they exchange some words, and you learn that Mugshot only took the pages because of the pretty big pictures, but could not understand it because of the many big words. Sly then asks if he could just get the pages back, but Mugshot refused since Sly has caused too many problems in his city. The two then fight it out, with Sly being victorious, and once again, you guessed it, he goes on to reveal his cohort Ms. Ruby, and where he can find her. Oh my god, I can't. Mugshot took the section of the Thievius Raccoonis that contained Tennessee Kid Cooper's notes on the rail walk and rail slide. Of course it had to be a quick escape out of Mugshot's casino, because Carmelita is still hot on their trail. She then went on to arrest Mugshot for many crimes. Up next is Ms. Ruby. Ms. Ruby is a large, Haitian alligator who came from a long family of voodoo mystics. She was feared throughout her childhood for her abilities, becoming incredibly lonely and finding solace only in her undead companions. Growing up, this loneliness turned to bitterness. Ms. Ruby refined her art until the Fiendish Five recruited her as the mystic specialist for them. After the events of the Cooper house raid, she went out with the intent on using her magic to punish the world for fearing her as a child. She planned to harvest bones and body parts and create an army of zombies to take over Mexico. After completing the missions, Sly is then sent flying to her hideout, and let me just say, even when I was a kid, this mission was the most fun, and this game had my ass like back foo dig foo back. They really did a great job with the Simon Says. After defeating her, you then get the page's notes from Sly Tunkum and Coopers on how to become invisible. Then once again the sexy and beautiful Carmelita shows up ready to arrest Ms. Ruby. The gang then takes a little break before heading to China. Up next is the Panda King. As a kid he loved the fireworks set off by the rich nobleman every new year, and he decided to study the art for 10 years. One night, he tried to offer his fireworks to the rich nobleman. However, they were not pleased with his shabby clothes, and they chased him away. Humiliated and enraged, he started using his firework creations to bury villages in snow. This earned him the position of demolitions expert of the Fiendish Five. And from then on he became feared worldwide and currently is trying to master a new firework technique high in the mountains of China. After completing the missions, you are then sent flying into Panda King's hideout and exchange words where you learn that Panda King's new firework technique is called Flame Fu, a mixture of normal Kung Fu with a splash of firework flame power. After defeating him, Panda King praises you a little bit, saying he was no match for Sly's skill with the Cooper cane. Bentley then talks to Sly, saying he analyzed the metal used in the high-tech blasting vehicle and found the location for the fifth and final member. See, the other three members need to take notes because Panda King didn't snitch on his boss, went out like a straight G. The pages Sly recovered from the Panda were from Otto Van Cooper, who had kept some of his technical blueprints in the Thievius Raccoonis which Murray used for his van. Carmelita once again shows up, having just missed Sly. She goes on to arrest the Panda King, and the gang head out to Russia. On their way to Russia, Sly began to notice a pattern in the pages of the Thievius Raccoonis. He noticed a shadowy owl-like figure in the background of each Cooper member, which looks very similar to the police images of the mysterious clockwork. Sly can't tell if it's just a strange coincidence or something he is missing. Once arriving, Sly had to go guns blazing since Clockwork's hideout is heavily fortified. Once inside, Sly notices that the lovely and sexy Carmelita is already there, but she is trapped and Sly tries to go help her, but gets himself trapped also, leaving it up to Bentley hacking skills to get Sly and Carmelita out. Once they break free, Carmelita calls a truce and tells Sly they need to work together in order to stop Clockwork. Caught off guard, one of Clockwork's guards takes Sly's cane, but luckily Carmelita shot it down before it got a chance to flee. Carmelita then tells Sly to go get his cane while she lays down cover fire, and while he is up there to get her jetpack that she left up there and use it to fight Clockwork. Once Sly gets his cane and the jetpack, Clockwork finally decides to come out. It is here that Clockwork tells Sly this was all for revenge, and how he made it his lifelong goal to destroy the Cooper clan, because he was jealous and obsessed with his family. This obsession led him to slowly replace his organic body parts with robotic ones until his entire body, including his internal organs, was mechanized. This, combined with his jealousy and hatred of the Cooper clan, made him essentially immortal. He also went on and said despite his knowledge of Sly's existence, he spared his life the day of the Cooper house raid in an attempt to prove to the world that the Cooper clan was nothing without the book. After a long hard-fought battle, Sly finally destroys Clockwork, avenging his father's death and restoring the Thievius Raccoonis once again, which was never explained how he did it exactly. I'm assuming with glue, but wouldn't that just make the book sticky? I don't know, it's best to not ask questions. And right as Sly and his gang were about to celebrate, Carmelita holds Sly at gunpoint, saying he's under arrest. However, Carmelita decides to give Sly a 10-second head start, and as she is counting down from 10, right when it reaches 1 second, Sly runs in and kisses her, leaving Carmelita speechless and blushing. But that was short-lived, as she sees it was just a ploy to get her in handcuffs, which she then yells out at Sly in rage as the gang leaves. The end.